Welcome and blessings to all. This is Dr. Bairavee Balasubramaniam, and today I'm going to be talking to you briefly about two astrological aspects that all of us experienced in the past few hours. Now today, being the 17th of June 2014, we had a 10-hour-long kite in the sky, and also we saw the entry of Mercury into Gemini as part of its retrograde. What this basically means is that we had a really big jolt from the universe to work through issues of past karma that all of us would have sensed resurfacing now in our lives through many different ways. That was one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is also the role of Mercury in this karmic journey as it unfolds in the days and weeks to come. So let me just tell you briefly about the kite. The kite is basically shaped like this. You have an opposition, you have a grand trine, and you have two sextiles making up the kite. For those who want to see a better diagram, you can look to my Facebook or Wordpress pages where I have already written and will provide further details of the meanings of each aspect, etc., etc. Now in this particular kite, we have the energies of the south node, the north node, the moon, and the sun. Now the south node and north node are very karmic points. The Hindus call them Ketu for the south node and Rahu for the north node. Now there's a lot of misconception surrounding the south node, saying that it is bad karma or the past, etc., and the north node is what you really should be focusing on. There is some merit to that argument, but like other aspects in astrology, it has also been misconstrued to mean something dark and negative and something to avoid, when actually that's not exactly the case. A north node south node opposition happens all the time. They just are always opposed to each other 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so on and so forth. But what happens when we have a particular focus on this nodal energies or nodal axis, we call it, is that we then have the challenge to draw the lessons from the shadow of the south node and bring them into the north node. The north node is where you can experience your greatest soul growth by focusing upon the energies that the sign of the north node is in for you, and by following the natural and logical steps that you can work with through these energies. For example, in this particular kite, we have the north node in Libra and the south node in Aries. Now the south node is basically warrior energy. It is associated with assertiveness, with self-determination, with being aware and willing and awake to say, I am. Now that's a great thing, as long as you're not saying it from a very egoic center. I am better than so and so, I am more important, etc., etc. Those would be what we call the shadow aspects. But again, even the term shadow I find somewhat problematic. But those are the more tyrannical aspects of the south node in Aries. Now the lessons that you can actually take from the south node in Aries are the lessons of leadership, of being able to lead a group of people towards a vision that does not only serve your own interests but also the interests of a collective good. You can also look at that way of approaching the south node as mirrored by the lessons that the north node wants you to learn. Typically speaking, in a natal chart, the north node is the position where the soul has had the least experience or might have to do a particular task in this area to achieve whatever goals it came to learn in this lifetime. In this case, with the north node being in Libra, we experience a situation where we are being called for to exist in social relationships, in a larger environment beyond ourselves, in a state of harmony and balance. That can be very difficult for some. Some people resist any type of socialization with others. They resist it with a vengeance. Some people try to kowtow and ignore their own needs just so that the status quo won't be shifted, just so that the boat won't be rocked. There are difficulties with either of these positions. So this is where the south node comes in. You take in the energy of leadership, the ability and the experience to actually speak up for yourself in a group environment. But here you bring in the wisdom, the balance, the detached sense of judgment that Libra, represented by the signs or scales of justice, brings. And then what you get is a type of leadership that is enlightened in the sense that it is able to see different aspects of the situation and know which cause or which path is most appropriate for the highest good, as they say. So basically, learn to become a leader who does not ignore yourself, who does not neglect your truest desires and callings, and learn to communicate this with others in a way and show them that your actions are in fact going to benefit the group as a whole. In some cases, this may not be possible, and in which case your exit from the group may have to be done at this time, but try to do so in a way that is compassionate, as opposed to one that creates dramatic, disruptive, sometimes traumatic departure. There's a lot more I can say about this, particularly when this occurs in a kite formation. But I will limit my comments on this here to say that the sun and the moon are supportive factors at this time. Basically, the masculine and the feminine aspects of your psyche, the rational mind and the intuitive mind, are working together to help you find that inner position of leadership. Find the peacemaker who is actually a diplomat. Find the warrior who is actually the peacemaker or the monk, to blend these energies together in a way that allows you to move forward, to be yourself, and to also be in harmony with your wider social group or peers. So this is a challenge that I know many people are facing at this time. And those who are particularly gentle, or some may call them soft-hearted, need to be able to articulate their boundaries in ways that not only give them peace of mind, but allow others the space to be themselves as well. Now this is what we had for today, 10 hours of it in fact. And then we also had, during this period, the shift of Mercury into Gemini. There's a lot that anyone can say about Mercury in Gemini, so I'm just going to go and focus on the key aspects. When Mercury is in its home sign of Gemini or Virgo, its power, you could say, is strongest, or its effects are felt the most deeply. People with their sun sign or their ascendants in Gemini and Virgo should take notice. This is when the mind turns its focus inward. This is a powerful time to do any type of work which relates to Gemini-related areas. That is, how you communicate things, how you analyze things, how you use words and speech, how you present yourself to other people in your immediate environment, how you interact with your siblings, how you perceive your early childhood and formative years. This is a wonderful time for you to use the analytical faculty of mind to go within and search for answers in your own past, to understand what makes you the unique, powerful, beautiful being that you are. So that is the conclusion of today's video. You can find a lot more information on the post that I have done on both these aspects. And thank you so very much for your time, and blessed be. Goodbye.